Raymond, there are many quarterback controversies throughout all of football, have been for many years. What would you call the quarterback controversy that exists in San Francisco that is not a quarterback controversy?
The biggest pile of smoke with no visible fire within the vicinity whatsoever.
Okay, so you'd call this the 49ers are in the midst of a quarterback biggest what was it again? Say it again.
The biggest pile of smoke with no fire whatsoever.
So this is a quarterback biggest pile of smoke with no fire whatsoever situation.
In all of football.
In all of football. That's what this is. Because, yeah, you were saying you see no smoke.
Yeah, the media sees smoke everywhere. The media is desperately trying to get out of the building because there's a rage of fire that's going to come crashing down on them any second here. I'm in the exact same building, and there's tons of smoke, but there's no fire anywhere, so I'm just going to stay put. No exit points. It's fine. In other words, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Nobody has to rush to the emergency exits. It's fine. Everyone relax. This is not like The Office when Dwight manufactures that fake fire. Actually, it's kind of more like that, minus the fire aspect of it.
This is the GoldCast.
Boom! Welcome to another edition of the GoldCast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the first, baby.
Boom! Raymond, another huge week in sports in the Bay. A ton of stuff going down, not only in Giants land, but in Warriors land and in 49ers land. I mean, it's just content coming left and right. In a month that is we're typically still kind of in the dog days of sports, but it has not slowed down at all for any of our teams. And we're going to begin, of course, today first with the San Francisco Giants. Right after we close the episode and release our episode last week, what happens? They make a trade, and it was a splash. Kris Bryant from the Chicago Cubs is now officially a San Francisco Giant, and he did not disappoint at all, hitting a home run in his second at-bat on Sunday. First appearance ever in a Giants uniform, helps lift the Giants over the Astros to take the series from the best team in the American League. And Raymond, this is what they had to say. This is what our general manager had to say, Scott Harris, about it. He spent 7 years in baseball operations with the department in the Chicago Cubs before heading to San Francisco. And he also served as assistant general manager under Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer. And he believes that it was his relationship with Hoyer, who now serves as the Cubs president of baseball operations, that allowed this trade to happen. Now, Raymond, you said on Thursday's episode, it did feel like the Giants were losers at the trade deadline, unable to secure Scherzer or Turner from the Nationals. By the way, the Nationals are still the current world champions. The Dodgers are the interim champs, but the current world champions are still the Nationals. This is the longest I think a baseball team has ever served as the world champions, almost 2 straight years now of being world champions.
Yeah, they didn't even have to defend their title legitimately last season.
Not at all. So, Raymond, you felt that the Giants were the losers in the trade deadline. Does the acquisition of Kris Bryant make them winners?
I think it does. I don't think it necessarily tops the Dodgers because the Dodgers were able to get the best arm on the market and one of the best bats on the market, but we were able to kind of offset that by getting one of the best bats as well, who's still young, still in his prime, still a productive player, even though the stats don't show that as far as 2020 goes, but 2020 is kind of a wipe of a season in my view, so I don't really look at that as a knock on his productivity number-wise. I mean, as you pointed out off air, you know, some of his best years, the first 4 seasons were obviously killer, but he was an all-star this year, so we got a bona fide all-star on the roster now, which we desperately need even though the offense hasn't really shown a lot of signs of hiccups, but we have had injuries that have hurt us. When Brandon Belt was out of the lineup, that has not helped us. Crawford, he was out of the lineup recently, that didn't help, and as soon as he got back, he was immediately productive. So we know what type of contribution he makes to the offense. He leads the team in ribbies, so we need that number production to keep the offense on par. And Kris Bryant is obviously also a guy who can hit for power and average and gets on base, so we need him too. And that's more power. Not like this team was hurting for more power, but doesn't hurt to have more power in there. I'm totally fine with that. When Longoria gets back, curious to see, because Longoria is more of a he'll be constant at third base, but Kris Bryant can play multiple positions. I assume he'll be kind of mixing around in the infield. So it's a good quality problem that Cap has. By the way, I'm nicknaming Gabe Kapler now Cap. I'm going to give him the Captain America shorthand moniker of Cap. So I think Cap's going to have his hands full by trying to figure out where to put these players. I imagine he'll bounce between first and second, because Belt's not back yet. That was supposed to be a short stint and turned out to be longer. So that obviously favors players like Wade Jr., and I don't think he's going to unseat Bryant anytime soon, because he's obviously more productive offensively and has been throughout his career. And so I think this is great. I think we didn't match it 100%, but we certainly offset it by at least half. But the other half of the equation is pitching. We were able to get a relief arm, but not nearly, the caliber of a Scherzer, who is a bona fide ace, still, very much in his prime, and a 3-time Cy Young Award winner. So it was no small feat that they got him. So I'm just glad that we got a bat to hopefully help combat that when these two teams collide again in September.
We have one more series against the Dodgers coming up. That is a team that is riddled with injuries, as the Giants have been as well. So it is that I think that September matchup, barring any major setbacks, the return of Mookie Betts, Clayton Kershaw, I think we are going to really see where these two teams stand in September, and it will most likely be a preview. Now, the real question is, can the Padres take the second seed? Because if they take the second seed, Dodgers go down to the third seed, and I don't know. I'd have to look at the standings again. I know the wild card's a little funky, but if the Dodgers drop to the third seed, will they still have an opportunity to play in the wild card, or are they out?
I think they should have a chance. I think there's a high probability that 3 of the NL representing playoff teams come from the NL West. But it is possible for them to also not get represented, because they also need to give priority to the division leaders. Yeah,
so it is very tight, and there is a chance that one of these arguably three of the best teams in baseball don't make it. But I think September is going to be the real showing of how this trade deadline really worked out for us. So we'll see. I'm excited, though. Also, no easy feat beating the Dodgers, then immediately turning around and taking the series from the Houston Astros, the best team in the American League. No easy feat. We just went back-to-back, Raymond, with the two best teams in baseball, and we took both series. Just saying.
Yeah, a little mini gauntlet there to come out of the All-Star break, and I thought they handled it as best as you can. You took the series. So, in a division round where it's best of 3, that's you're right. You're knocking on the door of elimination for either of these teams. So that's where they need to be. It's a combination of pitching and offense, and we're seeing both of that from all around. The Giants remain the bona fide best team in Major League Baseball post All-Star break. Some people were expecting that to fall off. I haven't seen any signs of that. They just hung toe-to-toe and beat 2 of the best teams in the NL and the best in the AL, and they're also won a very nice little bit of a nail biter against the lowly Diamondbacks. So we'll see them beat up on another team that they should beat up on tonight again.
Agreed. All right, Raymond, let's move on. Our boy Steph Curry in the building. He has agreed to a 4-year, $215 million contract with the Golden State Warriors. This new deal makes Curry the first player in NBA history to sign 2 deals worth more than $200 million. And not only that, with some acquisitions we made aside, we'll talk about those on Thursday. The Golden State Warriors have now opened with the fourth best odds to win the 2022 NBA championships, with only the Brooklyn Nets at 225, the Lakers at plus 400, and the current champs, the Milwaukee Bucks, at plus 800, having shorter odds than them. Raymond, how do you feel about Steph Curry's brand new contract? I feel this pretty much secures he will be a Warrior for life.
Nobody is surprised here. We knew that they were going to get it done, and he certainly earned every single dollar with the way that he played last year, showing no signs of slowdown, albeit being a little bit typically banged up here and there, but for the most part playing majority of the season and being the anchor that really carried us into that 9 seed position. And now it's just a matter of getting Clay back and him being some semblance of his former self, having Draymond, gel with the Splash Brothers again, and then having the supporting cast, fill in all of the gaps. Wiggins in the second unit as well as the starting unit, and also, the incoming players that we're acquiring from free agency. None of them have been the splash moves that we were hoping to see, because it seems that the other, multi-star teams are drawing a bit more of that star power, although I could care less about, Westbrook going to the Lakers just because of the type of player he is and how that's just not a fit for the Warriors. So no love lost there. Or Melo, who's still a productive player, albeit just not necessarily at the top of his game anymore and not necessarily starting caliber, although I guess could be on, a lower tier team, but someone like the Lakers probably rotates in and out of that role, more of a second unit guy. But I think the fact that he's making $48 million, $51 million, $55 million, $59 million between now and 2025, 2026, I mean, yeah, he's here to stay. He might play like 1 year of his final year, like after this contract expires, might play that over in like Charlotte, but we'll see. Other than that, though, we can, expect the remaining years of his prime to be played out in San Francisco, which is great news because there's still enough juice left in the tank to win another championship.
I believe the Warriors will win another chip at some point in Steph Curry's long and storied career. Before this 4-year contract is over, the Warriors will bring one more chip home. That is not my hot take. That is my Rootsterdamus prediction. It's going down. I agree. I'm very excited. This makes him a Warrior for life. I wanted to puke every time I saw dumb tweets and messages on Lakers Twitter and Lakers forums about them somehow nabbing Steph Curry at the end of this past season once his contract was up, and I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I was like, this is never going to happen. I don't even know why you guys are even considering this. I love how much you guys bash Steph, but then at the opportunity to gain Steph, all of a sudden you're totally okay with it, which whatever. But it does. It makes him a Warrior for life, and for that I'm very happy. All right, Raymond, final topic of the day. It just seems like this is more of, I guess, us ranting more than anything. It seems like every day
ranting about the same topic that's been circulating around the Niners since the acquisition of Trey Lance in the draft.
Yes, 100%. It's just like every day there's a new podcast, there's a new article about, can Trey Lance be a day one starter? Kyle Shanahan comes out all the time and is like, Jimmy G's a starter. Jimmy G's a starter. Jimmy G's a starter.
Yeah, and in fact, Trey Lance is not even getting reps with the ones.
Well, he got the reps with the ones yesterday, or not. Obviously, today's Tuesday. Yeah, yesterday, Monday. But the reason he did, and Kyle Shanahan explained afterwards in a press conference, said, "Listen, that was a very specific play that is designed for Trey Lance. So we wanted him to get some reps in it, so that all of the linemen can all kind of get used to it. Like it was a play. It was a Trey Lance designed play that they had him in for, so he got some reps.
Because he's going to get action during the season, not as the starting quarterback, but more as the, dynamic running quarterback, because why leave that dynamic element of his game to waste on his rookie season when he's a dual threat quarterback and he can obviously be incorporated heavily into what is already, one of the most potent run games in all of football. So yeah, we're going to see sprinkles of him, but it's going to be more of the running aspect of his game than the throwing aspect.
Yes. And of course, that led to a whole flurry of, oh, it's happening. It's going to happen. He's going to start.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just, everybody take a breath, okay? Everybody take a breath. And let me just explain how this works, okay? Having Trey Lance sit for one season behind Jimmy G is the best possible scenario for Trey Lance. It puts him in a maximum position to fully utilize all of his talents next season by giving him this 1 year to sit and to learn and to get used to the speed of football without the pressure of an actual full season. Very few, Raymond. We are talking a minuscule percentage of quarterbacks are able to step into the league and just ball year one. I believe the 49ers are Super Bowl ready with the team as currently constructed. I believe they're Super Bowl ready with Jimmy G as the starter. I believe they're Super Bowl ready right now as it is with Trey Lance being the backup. That being said, we're all excited for Trey Lance. We all want to see Trey Lance. I cannot wait. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic when he gets here. But right now, we are still in the Jimmy G era. He still has a lot to offer, and I still believe that Jimmy G can lead us to the Super Bowl and we can win. What are your thoughts on all of this constant flurry, Raymond, of Trey Lance being the starter?
I think it's writers trying to fill in the gap between now and when the season actually starts because it's their job. However, their arguments just, their arguments, even Peter King, who's a really good writer, and I happen to enjoy watching him interview either, with Matt Mayoko or when he interviews with Chris Sims and those guys. But I think that, ultimately all these arguments just fall right back to the same exact position that we all said, or at least you and I and other people believed we were going to be in when this whole thing started. Because up to this point, Kyle Shanahan has never said something and then meant something differently. He's not been, one of those coaches that kind of talks out of one side of his mouth and then a week later talks out the other side and completely contradicts or negates something he said more recently. Kyle Shanahan and company are sticking to the plan, which is Jimmy G is the starter. He's getting all the reps, and the one time Trey Lance got some reps, it was because it was a design play for him. And in fact, I believe I saw something along those lines when I was watching some of the Instagram highlights where it's a direct snap to Trey Lance, and he then begins to run upfield as a design run play, which we know is coming. It's going to be coming with him as the backup. And it's going to be coming with him as just one of the running backs in there. And that's just expected. I'm not surprised at all, but this does absolutely zero in terms of stirring up the quarterback controversy between him and Jimmy G, because he still has a long way to go, according to Kyle Shanahan. And that is the voice that matters most in all of this context. Doesn't matter what the writers say or what they think or how long they've been covering it. And, based on my time watching football and I project this, that's fine. The only thing that is going to speed up Trey Lance's elevation to the starter is if Jimmy G gets injured, which seems to be every other season. So right now, according to his current track record, Jimmy G's on pace to have a more or less healthy season versus, last year. So we'll just have to see if that pans out, but relax, everybody. Jimmy G's the guy, and that's okay.
Jimmy G's the guy, and that's okay. And we'll end it on that. And what say you, GoldCast Empire? Is Jimmy G the guy? Is that really okay?
It's probably not okay with a lot of people.
Yeah. Is Trey Lance going to be a day one starter? Let us know. Go to youtube.com/thegoldcast and let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. That way you stay up to date on every single new episode of the GoldCast. And so concludes another edition of the GoldCast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is my brother, my co-host,
Raymond Solis the first, baby.
Boom! We'll see you next time. Same GoldCast time, same GoldCast channel.